Good evening, everyone. How's it going? Tonight we are having a conversation. Is Haiti stuck in survival mode? We're talking about Haiti past, present, and in the future. I have a guest with me who's a pretty outspoken and well spoken guest who have been on live here with me before. We know that Haiti have survived a lot. We've survived earthquakes, slavery, revolution, and Haiti continue to go through it. So tonight, if it is your first time tuning in with Life in Haiti, I encourage you to please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and please share with family and friends as we welcome our guest tonight. How's it going, my brother? How are you?
Peace, peace. I'm good. I'm good. Appreciate you having me
Awesome.
on.
Now, I know some of my people tuned in tonight don't know you, may have never caught one of your small videos on Instagram. Please introduce yourself to the Life in Haiti family tonight.
Fantastic. So my name is Brotha Hassan. I am of IECN descent from the South Florida region, specifically Dade County. I am a author. I am a poet. Most importantly, I am a Baba, which is a West African term for father. And I am a community, social media, revolutionary activist. All those terms in one.
Awesome. What inspired you to continue to do what you do outside of your daily work?
I feel as if I see, well, first of all, I have an obligation to African people. That is my obligation to African people to educate and uplift African people. And specifically, I would say young Black African boys, um, because I see a lot of myself in a lot of the young boys that I see today. The same system that existed when Malcolm X was alive, that had Malcolm X going, to prison. It's the same system that exists, today, having our young boys go back and forth to prison or be, unalived at an early age or commit self-suicide at an early age. So, those are just some of the things that keep me going, that keep me driving, striving, and pushing forward. I stand on heavy shoulders, man. You know.
Awesome. And we need more like you. And it takes people like you to stand up and keep the youth grounded. We're gonna talk about Haiti tonight, and we'll also just talk about a few subjects that I know you advocate for and you pretty much passionate about. A little bit about in the past. Can you just share for some people who are tuned in that may not know a little bit of Haiti's history? 2 minutes, give them a good history of Haiti as we get the live started.
I mean, Haiti, again, we always say it, Haiti is the first free Black republic. I think that kind of minimizes what Haitians, Africans have done on that island. Um, Haiti single-handedly ended slavery in the Western Hemisphere. It pushed out the French, which allowed Louisiana to be purchased. It also helped South America kick the Spaniards out of the Western Hemisphere. So that sunned them back to the Western Hemisphere. And it actually helped get rid of the English from the Western Hemisphere. So it actually sent back the Spanish colonizers, the English colonizers, and the French colonizers back to their homelands. Now, what that also done is it had a trickle effect, because what it did is it affected those European colonies' finances. And so with that, with Haiti kicking out slavery in the Western Hemisphere, it then allowed for them to go into Africa and colonize Africa, right? Because there's like, well, we got to make our money some way, somehow, because Europeans don't know how to survive without their parasite culture, which means they have to leech off of the people. And so once Haiti kicked those Europeans out and sent them back to Europe, they then invaded Africa to colonize Africa. But again, one of the greatest feats in history, where one day you were, enslaved, and then the next day you were the rulers of that said nation. It hasn't been duplicated before, and it will not be duplicated. So, ultimate feat.
Well, since our independence, Haiti continued to struggle. I hear this trend today, Brother Hassan, where, and thank you guys for tuning in. Future Boy, Willing 55, thank you guys for tuning in. Please share the live as we get the show started. Let's get more people watching and let us know where you tuned in from. When you think of the struggle that our ancestors faced, went through, and you look at us today enjoying the benefits of that, I don't think that many of us minorities all over the world really realize just how much they went through for us to be able to have the freedom and liberty in which we have today. I hear there's a trend where a lot of people are saying that they're not African descendants. What is your stance on that as someone who is very knowledgeable in history? Especially, you hear, just to give you an example, a lot of people of our color, African Americans, saying that they are descendants of Native American and not of Africans. Where do you see us? What is your opinion on where are our descendants?
Well, I can't speak for everybody's genealogy because everyone's genealogy is different in that sense. But I will say that a large majority of us came from West Africa. This is present in the dishes that we make. This is present in the language that we speak, using words like tote, which is a West African word which means to carry. That word got shifted into the modern English language. So now we have tote bags, right? We come from West Africa. Now, a lot of people may disagree with that just because there were some Africans that were here before the Europeans came, but we don't know if these Africans were here a day before the Europeans came. But a lot of people they hang their hat on that because at the core of it is self-hatred, right? And I hear a lot of that conversation now, not only in the African American community, but also in the Haitian community. I'm hearing people saying that we are the Tainos and we are the this and that. But that comes just out of a form of self-hatred, the idea that I don't want to be African because we have been so conditioned, to despise and dislike anything that is African. I would say, hell, anything that is truly black, because for so long we have taken on this watered down idea of what it means to be black and African. So I would say the core root of it is self-alienation and self-hatred. A lot of people say things like, well, Africans don't accept us, and Africans call us a kata, right? And they would say kata, kata, kata. But then they would turn around and embrace a word like the N-word and say, I'm a real N-word. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna take that word back and we're gonna make it powerful, and I'm a real American and this and that. And it's like, well, wait a minute, hold on. The Africans call you a kata, and then you cut them off. I hate them. I don't want to talk to them. They call us a kata. The white man call you the N word, and then you embrace it, you take it, and you say it's my word now. And I'm gonna use it in all my raps, right? The Africans say, oh well, you're not really culturally connected to me, figure of speech, saying whatever, and you just disown that. Oh, Africa, I'm done with that. The Europeans say this is our land. You're not American, and you still fight to be American. So we just have to look at it from a lens of alienation, self-alienation, cultural alienation, and just simply self-hatred.
Do you think it stemmed from the generational trauma that overall Black people have went through?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it stems from that generational trauma and also from the social indoctrination You know, growing up, you know, in class they had National Geographics, right? And you'll always see those, you know, women who were naked and the tribal women and those type of things. And you looked at them as something distinct from you, something separate from you, right? And then, you know, you never really delved into how that so-called tribal, you know, culture is so beautiful and so pure. You just looked at the idea that they were naked and they didn't have shoes and they lived in huts. And that's not the majority of Africa. That's just probably a 1% of African culture, but that's still, that culture is still beautiful in itself. And so, you know, when you have cartoons growing up on Disney and, you know, you got the Africans with the bones in their nose and those type of things that goes on. And then even, you know, going into Haitian culture where you have most of the zombie movies from the 1950s and 40s where they were, you know, showing Africans as Haitians and Africans as zombies and etc. You know, that will do something to you. That will make you, you know, be disenchanted with the idea of being African, let alone being black. Like I've heard a lot of people say that in the 1960s, before the Panthers and before that whole movement, if you called someone black, that was fighting terms. You know what I'm saying? That was here in America, where, you know, people would say, "Don't, we not black, we Negro," you know, and they would fight you behind that, you know, idea of calling them black. So I think that a lot of the socialization has taken what it means to be African and black and turned it into a negative connotation when it truly is a standards of beauty, of intelligence, and godliness.
Wow. Do you think that a nation can develop in the proper way with that way of thinking, especially when you refer to Haiti?
No nation, no community, and no people can develop anything that's going to be long lasting with a self-hating, you know, perception of themselves, you know. And so I've written out many, you know, plans for Haiti, you know, as far as, you know, how we can rebuild Haiti. But the first thing that we have to do in rebuilding Haiti is rebuild Haiti in the image that we want to see Haiti in, not into making Haiti into the new Jamaica, you know, or making Haiti into a small United States where we got skyscrapers and things like that. To truly be free, to truly govern yourselves, you have to have mental autonomy. You have to have that mental freedom. Separate yourself from whatever European nation you see and what they're doing. That's not your business. If we become an agricultural nation, then we become an agricultural nation. The purpose is to defend and provide for yourself, right? And so what we have to do is stop trying to imagine Haiti to be a small United States, you know, or stop trying to imagine Haiti to be a Christian, you know, white nation. That is not our lot in life, you know. So in order for us to ever build anything that's going to be sustaining, it has to be built in our image, for our purpose, for our reasonings, for our survival. Everything has to be centered in us.
Do you think that with everything in the past, that Haiti can create its own image? Do you think that we have the ability, in your opinion?
I believe 100%. Yeah, I believe that we do. And this is why we're constantly under attack, because other people know that we have the ability to rise up like, you know, a phoenix, you know, from the ashes. And this is why any African country is essentially under attack, because you don't consistently attack a group of people that you believe are inferior to you. You leave them alone and you let them fall on their own, right? But when you consistently have things like the CIA and FBI and all these, you know, counter, you know, productive things, well, counterproductive for us, productive for them, you know, when you have these agencies that are consistently overthrowing the government, dropping drugs in communities, that is because you recognize that if those people are left alone to their own devices, they will create a better sustaining situation, nation, civilization than you can ever imagine. And so you consistently have to be under attack from racism, white supremacy. That means the good white people and the bad white people. You consistently have to be under attack. And now when I say the good white people, I mean the good white people open the door for the bad white people, if that makes any sense.
Mm. With everything that's happening here today in Haiti, where do you see Haiti going?
All right. Well, Haitians are the third largest ethnic African group in the Western Hemisphere. So there are 11 million. I'm just giving the statistics that you can find online. There are 11 million Africans on the island, which means that you can only imagine how many of us are in the United States. I believe depending on how things flow in. You want me to give a hypothetical or a theoretical? Which one?
Theoretical.
Theoretical. Um, I believe Haiti will definitely rise up. And the reason why I believe that Haiti will rise up, this is my theory why Haiti will rise up, is because the president that we have right now in the United States will end up stretching his arms out too far, and you can only hug so many people. I'm trying to cater to my words because I know this is your platform and this is how do your thing. But you can only stretch your arms out to hug so many people. And when I mean hug, I mean oppress. And so I feel, and this is my theory, that the United States will run into hard times. And once the United States runs into hard times, Haiti and other African nations, just like Burkina Faso, just like Mali and those other nations, they will begin to rise at their own. So in the next 10 to 15 years, I can definitely see Haiti rising if Haiti gets a hold of if they get a hold of their identity and their purpose in life. What does Haiti look like for us? So I could definitely see Haiti rise in the next 10, 15 years. And that's my theory.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's give a shout out. But I'm going to ask, do you think that Haitians in Haiti today struggle internally with identifying who we really are? Let me give a shout out to everyone. And guys, as you come in, don't forget to please share the live and let us know where you tuned in from. Thank you, Future Boy, also for the love. Thank you so much. Multi millionaire mindset says Dessalines did call the army Lame.
Indigenous.
Okay.
Mm.
Not no African name, but Christopher imported Africans for his army to fight the indigenous. Yes, you can comment
Okay.
on that after. You can comment on that and answer the question as well. Please share the
Oh,
live, guys.
okay. So would you like me to comment on that first?
You can. You can.
Okay, so here's the thing about the whole indigenous army thing. I see everyone using that as, oh, they called it indigenous army. The reality of the situation is that Dessalines and um other revolutionary leaders were born in Haiti. Haiti, your life expectancy was about 7 to 10 years in Haiti, and then you were unalived or you passed away for being worked to death, right? And so they consistently had a flow of Africans coming into Haiti. When the revolution started, they referred to themselves as the indigenous ones simply because, again, they were speaking Creole with the French language because they had Africans continuously coming into the country. That's why they called themselves the indigenous, not because they were indigenous to the land. Dessalines said this in many of his writings. I don't know how many people actually read Dessalines' writings, but he said, my mother was an African woman. I am an African to the day that I die. To be Haitian is to be African. The woman who raised them, Tontoya, was a woman from Dahomey. Like, this is documented stuff that we're talking about. But people want to focus on this little portion where he called the indigenous army meaning that they were indigenous to the land, that they were born there on that land, not that they were, you know, somehow Native Americans, but they were born on that land, that Africans kept coming to Haiti. Now, he is correct about Henry Christophe's army as well. He imported Africans as well, and then they were called the Diomi army, and they were all women soldiers. But if you read a lot of Dessalines documents, which unfortunately a lot of us don't take the time to translate those documents, he specifically talked about Africa. Toussaint talked about Africa. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Matter of fact, Toussaint's grandfather was a king in Benin. If you go to Benin, they have a statue there for him and honor him, because the history, the oral history, shows that Toussaint's grandfather was taken from that part of Africa. But then again, people are going to believe what they want to believe. Again, we know that, you know, alienation and self-hatred is a real thing. I'm not saying that this person is self-hating. Maybe they have not dug deep into the archives to pull out that information. But for some people, they do use that as a form of self-hatred and disconnection from the African race.
Would you like to answer my question now?
I'm sorry, I was so drawn up on that one. What was the question?
No. Do you think that Haitians have an issue with identifying themselves internally, especially today? Do you think that that is a problem? And I'm going to go back and ask you some questions on what you just shared, okay? But let's go answer that. Do you think that we have an identity problem? Because I feel, my brother, that if we walked in who we are, not simply what our ancestors have done for the world, but respecting who we are as Haitians. We are fighters. We are resilient. Once you're kind of confident in who you are, you move differently. You make different types of decisions. And we have lost that identity. We are strong in ways that it hurts us, because sometimes it's not always good to be too strong, because you start normalizing.
That's stubborn. Not strength. Right? That's stubborn. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of stubbornness going on in Haiti. And I do feel, in my opinion, that it has a lot to do with us not accepting who we are. We lost our identity internally.
So on the island of Haiti, there has always been a freedom to practice religion, right? So we do know Henry Christophe, you know, he was a Roman Catholic at one point. We know Toussaint was a Catholic at one point. Then when Dessalines got in power, Dessalines allowed people to practice whatever they want, you know, voodoo, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the part that I think a lot of people miss, because we talk about the whole Haiti having to pay, you know, reparations to France and how Boyer put that in place. But here's the part that people miss. In 1850, when that was taking place, one of the things that the French said, not only do we want y'all to pay reparations, but we also want y'all to make Roman Catholicism, Christianity, the national religion of Haiti again. Point blank, period. Now, a lot of us would say, why does that matter? God doesn't have a color. So we'll make all the excuses in the world to why that is not important. But it is very important to this day, because 85% of schools in Haiti are Catholic schools. When you're able to determine and give a people an idea, a religion, a concept of God, you're able to determine their future, hands down, because what they believe in is how they operate in this world. So it is no reason that in 1850, these people came back and said, yeah, the money is fine. We want the reparations, but y'all got to accept Christianity. And this is documented. Anybody can look this up. The Vatican was like, yeah, y'all got to accept Christianity. That has to be the religion of Haiti. And so even when you talk to most voodooists, you know, they would even say things like, well, it's not a problem that, you know, some of the saints are, you know, Catholic, you know, gods, because that's how we hide our saints. No, that you got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of that, because the brain sees things as symbols. The brain sees everything as symbols. And if you have a what do they call it? A meme. They call it a meme, right? We call it a meme because we make these posts and we say, oh, look at this meme. That meme is a form of culture. It creates reality. You know, that's why people can relate when somebody says, oh, girls be like, and that meme is like, oh, I can relate to that. So we have to understand that these are not just trivial things that a European forced upon us doing treaties, where you go to Nigeria, where you had I can't think of a name right now, one of the queens who fought the Portuguese for 40 years. And then one of the defining factors in them ending the war is that she accepted Christianity. And then we wonder why these situations, like people, when they like God, this God that people talk about didn't go around spreading this religion. This religion was spread by the gun, the sword, the cannon, and etc. This is how we got these religions. There's no way of going around that. We can't go around that. I know it makes people feel uncomfortable, but we can't go around it. This God didn't come and sprinkle Jesus dust on everybody around the world. People came in with weapons, destroyed communities, destroyed natural ways of living, and then gave people a Bible. That's the reality. So you can't build nothing if you still shaped in that reality. If you still focus in that reality, you can't shape anything. You know, it's no coincidence that the most poorest people are the most prayingest people in the world. So that then goes to autonomy, freedom of thinking. And you can only think as high as your God.
My brother, you know, that's where I beg to differ with you.
Right?
But we're going to continue because we can have a different opinion and it's okay. You know, myself, I have a relationship with God. I don't push religion, but I do believe that we were all created. I recently had a conversation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget, guys, to please share the live and let us know what is your thoughts. I had a recent conversation, and this conversation didn't really go as planned because I identify as Christian and I am a believer, but I am not God. And I always remind myself that. And for me, God exemplifies love. But I am Christian because I was raised Christian as well. So it is not my place as a Christian to create division and hate because someone else was exposed, their perspective, their experience is different from mine. You know, even with Haiti's independence, you do have
So I don't want to have a theological conversation, but I will say this. And again, I recognize that for some people, this dogma of religion is so ingrained in their mind that they can't even think above, they can't see above. It has no political worldview for them, right? And I'm being very honest. I understand this because it's how you have Muslims who will strap a bomb to their body in their belief system to go out and do some heinous stuff, right? So I understand for some of us, we just can't see it. That's fine, right? But then I have to ask a few questions, right? How does that work out for you politically? How does that work out for you socially? How does that work out for you culturally? How does that work out for you or your community when that is the lens and how you view the world, right? Now that's one aspect that I want to give, right? That's one aspect that I want to give. But then the idea that we say that this God, this Abrahamic God, is the God of love is one that is not true. It's one that we hold on to because it makes us feel good. This is the same God that said, "Go into the land of the Hittites and kill everything, even the goat, even the children, even the leaves they eating, kill it, destroy it. If a baby is born with malformities, dash his head against the rock. This is not something I'm making up. This is what it says in the Bible, right?
Where
This Bible is
we're not gonna go there, but
right. No. But allow me to land. Allow me to land. Allow me to land.
All right,
So we preach this idea, and I believe it's an idea out of fear. We preach this idea of love and humanity, but that's not the reality. That's not what the Bible says. Even Jesus said, "I didn't come to bring, I came to bring a war. I came to bring a sword." And the one thing I do know, again, I don't want to have a theological conversation, right? The one thing I do know is the fastest way to peace is through war. Trying to convince somebody, we can sit around and try to convince somebody of our holiness, of our greatness, and it don't matter. The only way that bullies will submit is when you kick their behind. Okay, so we can try to do the whole love thing, and it has gotten us nowhere in this world at all. Because the people who gave it to us don't practice it at all. They're the first ones to drop a nuclear bomb somewhere to invade somebody's country. Why they ain't loving? Why they ain't forgiving? Why they not the ones saying, well, you know what, y'all knock the Twin Towers down, we go ahead and forgive y'all? Nah, they invaded. They taking over. So again, this idea that we have been given, it doesn't work for us politically. It doesn't work for us socially. It doesn't work for us culturally. It just doesn't work. It might make someone feel good about their situation. They make them feel whole in themselves, like, oh, I'm just gonna get through it. I'm gonna pray and I'm gonna do that. That might do that, but it ain't working. It ain't work. I done seen too many people die. I done seen people die with this belief system and this idea, and it ain't doing it. It's not doing it.
Okay, so I get your point of view that Christianity is not doing it, but are you saying that Muslims is not doing it?
Muslims, not for black people.
In your opinion, what is doing it? Not just God created us all, my brother. He didn't just create black people, white. We created the division amongst us, but God created every one of us. Do you agree with that?
I do not. Because if God did in the Bible, he would not tell the Israelites to go kill other people and take over their lands. No, God did not. God is a racist God. This God of the Bible is a racist God. He creates hierarchies. This God says, you are the chosen people. You not the chosen people. You Gentiles. That's not a God I want to follow. This God creates problems more than he fixes problems. The three major religions that create wars everywhere is Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. That is not a God of peace. And I know people are gonna say, well, they just practicing it wrong. Well, then somebody show me how to practice it right then, because obviously, that is not a God of peace. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I'm being so serious. This is a God of war. This is a European God of war. That's what that God is about. It is a cultural war. It is the economic war. It is the internal war that we fight in ourselves when we believe in that. When we believe in that to be true.
What do you think works for us? Because when I say that, I've had conversations with voodooism, people who practice voodoo, and each and every one of them tell me to get to God, they must go to him. To get to where they're trying to go, they have to say a prayer to God. And God is who gives them access. So I mean, I don't understand. That tells me that my God is bigger than your God, because you have to get through him to get access to yours. And like I say, hey, I respect a different opinion. So I'm just giving you my perspective. Why is that? Even in voodooism, they have to go through God.
So the God that they're referring to, now again, let's take into consideration that voodooism, or voodoo, just means a West African word which means spirit, right? But when we talk about Haitian voodoo in particular, that it already had been watered down with Catholicism. The voodoo that they practiced August 21st, 1791, that was West African voodoo. As the religion persists and goes on, it gets watered down with Catholicism, and the ideas get shaped by Catholicism. This is why most of the deities are white saints, right? And so when you're talking to a voodooist today, you just, for the most part, you're just talking to a backwards Christian. When you're talking to a voodooist, you're talking to a backwards Christian. I'm just being honest, you know. But some of us who practice it from a more pure, see, because here's the thing, your politics have to match your religion. Because when the Israelites were given their mission, it matched their religion. My God said to come in here and conquer. My God said to come and kill all the goats and the sheep and all the firstborn males. So your politics have to match your religion. I'm not trying to say that anybody needs to adopt any religion. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Ifa is the way. I'm not saying voodoo is the way. What I'm saying is that whatever you believe in, right? Whatever you believe in, it needs to be boiled down solely in an African world view. And it is hard to do that with Christianity and Islam and Judaism, because those things have been so indoctrinated with white male patriarchy. And African men can grow no higher than African women. And so we can't practice patriarchy the way the European man practices patriarchy in our society, in our communities. That's not who we are as a people. But what I am saying is that,
let me ask you too, what is the African way? I'm asking because I am sure a lot of people watching during the live and after the live are wondering the same thing. I dislike religious conversations, but I also enjoy having an intelligent conversation with someone like yourself. What is the African way? I mean, what way it is that today a Christian will pray that the African way is not doing, and you know, their government is aligned with it. Where is that happening at today?
I mean, it's happening all in West Africa. Well, you know what I'm saying? Or Central Africa, East Africa, or specifically, let's use East Africa, for example, right? So you have, okay, matter of fact, let me use West Africa back in the day. So we all know Islam spread through Northern Africa, it spread to West Africa. And, you know, we often hear the saying, well, you know, Africans sold other Africans into slavery. But one of the biggest parts that they miss out is that there were two specific groups that sold Africans into slavery. Now, we're not going to negate that. We're going to be honest and be historically correct. And one of the biggest groups were mixed race Africans. See, we forget that Europeans, they came to West Africa almost 200 years before they start actually enslaving Africans, right? Because Columbus came to West Africa in like 1491 or 1490, around that time, because he took the voyage in 1492. So the Europeans had already experienced Africans in Europe with the Moors, and they also experienced them in West Africa. No slavery, right? So in that time period when they were in West Africa, they start creating mixed race children in West Africa. This is a fact. They were called the Lankatas, right? Now you have these mixed race children, and then you have Arabized Africans in West Africa. These Muslim thinking Africans in West Africa, which still exist to this day. You know, you see what's going on with Nigeria, and that tells you that if this black person or this any person is not a Muslim like you, then they should be sacrificed. They should be a slave. They should be, etc. Right? This is what these African people were ingrained to think. And then you have the slave trade, and then you have these Arabs, these Arab Africans catching Africans, and you have the mixed race people selling them off, and etc. Let me just say it like this. Let me finish my point, and then I'll make another point. So this is the thinking. When you adopt the religion, you not only just adopt the faith, you adopt the culture, you adopt the way of being, you adopt all these things when you adopt the religion. And if the religion says this black person from the Yoruba tribe is not a Muslim, I can enslave them, then you're going to go in there, you're going to take him, and you're going to sell him off to the white man. And then the mixed race person who don't really have no allegiance, who's just in the wind, who's following the power structure, they're going to sell your black behind off too, because they mixed race and they don't have no real connection. This has been done throughout history. When you talk about Kemet, Egypt, that we call Egypt, Kemet, You talk about how the Asiatics came into Egypt, made a mixed race group of people, and then those group of people end up fighting against the black people. That's how Egypt became white. That's how Egypt became Arab. You can go to Haiti and you see how in the Haitian Revolution, when the mixed race started fighting with the French against the black people, and you're like, well, wait a minute, you came from my mother's bosom, like you are of my mother, but because you got white in you, and I'm not saying all mixed race people. I want to be clear on that. I'm not saying all mixed race people, but a large majority, right? Obviously, they're not a monolith, but they end up fighting against the Haitian Revolution. So when we talk about religion, when we talk about ideas, those things are intrinsically cannot be separated with how you move throughout this earth, through how you operate. When you look at a Jewish person, you know he's a Jewish person because how he does business, he wears his little hat. When you look at a Muslim person, you can tell he's a Muslim person, how he wears beard, how those things are not just, things that we make. These are things that how we govern our lives, how we move throughout our lives. And people who want to control you will force those things on you because they know how you're going to move. They know how you're going to operate. They know 150 years from now, we're going to be sitting here saying, we just got to love. The Bible says we got to love. And and they sit in the back like these fools, they still falling for that. They still falling for it. And the next point,
you're still
yes,
not. Excuse me for being interrupted, but you're
no,
still not
please.
giving me a direct answer as to what's working. What's working? What on earth today you will say is working for all people?
So let me be very clear. I don't speak for all people at all. I speak for African people. My interest is African people. I care not what other people are doing as long as this is not affecting me, because that's y'all culture. That's y'all came out of the caves with that. Y'all came out of Northern Europe with that. That's y'all culture. What I care about is African people. Now, once African people get themselves straight and they're at a position to govern themselves and make decisions for themselves, then we can talk about other people's cultures and things like that. But we can't be worrying about nobody else until we get what's going on here. My two children are in the next room, right? I'm not finna go feed my neighbor children before I feed mine. We have a habit because of religion. We have a habit of worrying about other people and not putting race first. Because let's be clear on this. I just want to make this very clear on this. Every religion has a nationalistic ethos. Every religion has a nationalistic ethos. Period. If it's Ifa, it deals with that cultural national ethos of that people. That's why you can't really hold on to a Christian religion, because it deals with a European ethos. You know what I'm saying? Power, dominance, control, etc. Same thing that goes for the Arabs, right? You can't name one African traditional religion that oppressed other African people or anybody. That's not who we are. That's not our ethos. That's not how we operate throughout the world. So our religions are not shaped on oppression. But when you look at Abrahamic religions, it is solely based on oppression. The woman needs to shut up and sit in the back. She can't take no precedence in the church. Be quiet. You know what I'm saying? You can whip and enslave somebody. If a girl is SA'd, she got to get sold off. Like, this is all through the Bible. There's nothing but oppression. That's the oppressive God. He's depressing. They're oppressive and depressing. I can't deal with it. And then also, as an African man, it hurts me when women feel that their God is a man, because that is solely patriarchy. That is solely the idea that men are better than women. And I don't subscribe to that ideology at all. I believe that as African beings, man and woman, we have our own strength in our attributes, but I'm no better than a woman at all in her right mind state. Let me say that, because a lot of us are here confused. But in an African centered white mind state, I am no better than an African woman, right? We know women have more like, for example, right? I'll give you an example. I'll give her an example. The other day I was talking to a friend about boxing, and he was like, I hate watching girl boxing. Like, girls, they just don't know how to box. And I said, well, because boxing is a male dominant sport, right? But if you look at who's the leading in kickboxing, right, it's women. And why is that? Because women have more lower body strength than men have. That's why men be going to the gym. They have those big old muscles at top, and they got them skinny old legs, right? So now you taking a man's sport like boxing and inserting women, and you expecting them to act like men when their strength is in their legs. Our strength is in our arms. So of course we're going to be better at boxing. But when you look at it from a European perspective, you say, "Oh, women can't box. Women can't da da da," and then you get that whole sexist, that the whole sexist asili from the European. When you just say, "Nah, women have a different strength than we have." That's it. Because I tell you, I can't wake up every 28 days with no cramps in my stomach. I can't do that. That's not what? I would go crazy. My stomach hurts from gas, and I be laying down in the bed all day. Women have a different strength. Doesn't mean that they're better. Doesn't mean that we're better. But when you have that European mindset, you're going to take that because their whole mindset is about structure, about hierarchy. Who's better? What's not better?
I don't, I think if we continue to go there, I will continue to be somewhat biblical
Mm-hmm.
because Adam was created first and we were created to be a helper to a man. And I am not a woman that wants to think that I'm better than a man, but I do believe that I was created to be a man's helper. And those arms, they have a lot more strength than our legs, I think. But I like that though, because I'm into building, and there is something about the building foundation where the legs of that house says a lot about the house. So I understand that, my brother. I'm just picking your brain because I'm asking what's working, because all over the world with all the religion, it doesn't matter, there seems to be some type of oppression. We are focused on Haiti's oppression because that is the side that we are on. And of course, we have Haitian descendants, Haitians, that blood is running through us, but all over the world. I don't believe our creator created us to be so evil, but because he is a God of love, he allowed us to choose. And we chose exactly what we've created today. Just, today, in that same conversation I was sharing that I had with a friend, we have a choice. Brother Hassan, today I can decide to get up and do something good. And in the same token, I can decide to get up and do something bad. I cannot blame voodooism for my decision making, because you have a lot of people who will blame voodooism for something bad happening. But you also cannot blame God for something bad happening, because as you mentioned, if you have a clear mind, then you're able to differentiate right from wrong. Am I correct?
So let me just start by saying this, right? And I know my answers have been long-winded, but I want to
one second. Let me give a shout out to this super chat, Obed. Thank you so much, Obed, for the $300 super chat. Thank you so much. God bless you. And I do believe this break the record for super chat at one time on Life in Haiti. Thank you so much, Obed. God bless you. Thank you so much. And thank you. Gina Turner, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much for your continuous love and support. God bless you as well. So, guys, we encourage you to come into the conversation with us, and please Share your thoughts. You may continue.
Shoot, what was I gonna? Okay, so so in the Bible, and I'm gonna use the Bible reference just to give you some reference of what I'm saying, right? Um, what was God's first task for Adam? Do you remember? No? So God's first task for Adam was to name everything on the planet.
Okay.
That was his first task, to name everything on the planet, to give everything a name. And why is that important? That is important because definitions define people's reality. How you see something, how you interpret something is how your reality will be shaped, right? So I'll ask someone a simple question, what do you see with? What do you hear with? What do you taste with? And everybody say, oh, my nose, my mouth, my ears. But the actual answer to that is your brain. You see with your brain. Your brain interprets what you see, right? And that comes through definitions, right? And one of the definitions I want to touch on is the idea of good and bad. Good and bad. Because a lot of times we think it's very simple to define something that's good and something that's bad. Like if you ask most Europeans, they will tell you that slavery was a good thing. And you're like, what? Slavery was a good thing? It's like, yeah, we built America. You guys wouldn't be here in America, being Christians. You could be in Africa, all the blah, blah, blah. And they would say slavery was a good thing. That's their definition. That's their defining factor, how they view the Ma'afa. Now you ask an African who has an African worldview, was slavery a good thing? They gonna no. It broke up families. It broke up our indigenous institutions. It got us running around here crazy. We can't keep black families, black on black crime. Like, definition is very important. How you define someone, how you define something, someone, or a place or an environment is then how you define your reality. Until we grasp hold of definitions and define how we want to define it in our best interest, we're going to be confused. There's no reason that these Europeans went around renaming stuff. You think that was just a coincidence? That they went around renaming things because through the renaming of things, it reshaped people's viewpoint.
Hold on. So you do believe that Adam existed?
No, I do not. I'm using a biblical what is the word? I'm using a biblical mythology to make an example, because let's be clear. I want to be very clear on this, sister. All religions are mythologies because mythology creates the psychology. So I don't want to get up here and make it seem like my religion is more superior than Christianity in the sense of it being more real. That's not what I'm arguing. What I'm arguing is what you believe in creates real alternatives, or not real alternatives, real things that you do in this world. See, because mythology creates psychology. When you go in, that's why when you go into Greek mythology, when you go into all these things, are stories that people made up in order to make sense of the world that they exist in and to live in the world that they exist in. That's what these religions are. So I'm just using the mythology to tell a story. And we know this to be true. When you go to West African, you have Anansi, the story of the spider and things like that. And, in Haiti, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you're familiar with the story of Tonton Macoute. Are you familiar with Tonton Macoute?
Yeah.
Like Tonton Macoute, Tonton is uncle, right? So the story goes back to the mythological story that kids that act bad, their uncle, like a uncle will come snatch them out the night and they will never be seen again. But later on, this story gets adopted into the Papa Doc's army, Tonton Macoute, because they were kidnapping people, right? And so mythology creates the psychology. What you believe in determines how you act in this world. And so I don't want to come up here and make it seem like, what I believe in is more real. But what I believe in is more real in the sense that it creates real effects. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right, because the orishas and the deities that we pray to and that we do to, they are just forms of ways of how we shape and view the world for ourselves as African people, and that's what that is. Now, to answer your question about what is working, the most powerful religion on the planet is white supremacy. racism, white supremacy. It is so powerful that even black people believe in it. That's why the old saying goes, white ice is colder than black ice. Ice is ice. What are you talking about? This is why our people are bleaching their skin, wearing the blonde wigs, wanting to date white people, feel like you're more superior if you speak French. You're more superior if you speak French. Oh, you better speak proper English. Because the whole idea is white is supreme. And the closer you are to whiteness, the more civilized you're supposed to be, the more, supreme that you are. And so our entire existence is trying to get close as possible to whiteness. So the only religion that trumps all other religions is white supremacy, right? And if you don't believe in white supremacy, then that means that you believe that black people or people of color are innately stupid, that we can't govern ourselves, right? Because there is no place in anywhere in the world that black people rule over white people. And that's not by coincidence. That's not because we are not, thinkers and things like that. It's because these people have orchestrated a system and have us believe in the system. So much so that anywhere you go in the world where white people exist with black people, they making sure they rule over black people. Now, is that the Christian way? No, but they'll call it a Christian country.
All right, let's move on from that subject, my brother. All right.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. I'm here with you. I'm here with you.
From that subject.
I'm here with you.
Before we got into the religious part, you mentioned something about America heading towards a rising crisis.
Mm-hmm.
When you say stretching arms too far, are you talking about economic overreach, military influence, or morally decline?
So one of the things that the president of this country, one of his things was to bring back the moral, upstanding, idea of the nuclear family, right? So you can see that he's, anti, and all these things they have political reasons. They're not just things that he's doing for, the good nature. They all have political reasons. They want to stop the abortions because more white women are having. Can I say abortions? I don't want to get your channel flagged, but they're having, they're terminating their children at a higher rate, right? So their birth rates are dropping. Okay. Not only are black men increasing in, same gender loving situations, but white men are increasing that level as well, and so are the white women. And so what they recognizing is that there is a decline in society, and what they're trying to do, they're scrambling to try to get things back in order. Because if you study any civilization, you would know that the civilization will start declining once the society becomes like Babylon. Yeah, I'll give you a biblical example, like Babylon, when the people out there just doing whatever and messing around with kids and animals and whatever the case may be. That society is in a downcline position. And so this is why Trump was given the agenda that he was given to kind of try to get that under hold, get that whole, we could do whatever we want to do, way of thinking out of the United States people. Now, me personally, I think it's already too late, but we'll see. We will see. I definitely think it's in a moral decline in this nation. I think it is it eroded into European culture, because they've always had a thing with like PDF files and, kids and stuff like that. So that's just in their culture, hands down. Nobody can deny that, historically and present day. That's why everybody going crazy about these Epstein files, but that's nothing new. But the problem I have is now that it's infecting African societies, right? Like Africans have always held family to a high regard. They always held children to a high regard. The idea of even doing something to a child was looked upon like, what? Are you crazy? Even now in parts of Africa, you're going to get street justice. In Haiti, you're going to get street. They're going to stone you. You do something to a child. But the more we integrate into that way that they think and the way that they view the world, the less and less it becomes more offensive to us when you do something to a child, But yeah, America's on a moral decline. It's going down, baby.
Do rising nations only rise when they dominate nations who are weaker? Is that your opinion?
In the European worldview, yes, that is true. Europeans believe that Yorugus, I gotta call them what they are, Yorugus believe that, oh, what happened?
I am here. I'm just letting you speak.
Okay, because when you do the thing, you throw me off. I'm like,
Yeah, no,
okay,
I'm here. I'm just giving you the stage. I'm attentive. I'm here.
okay. Um, in European culture, in Yorugu culture, there is no way for two people to be dominant and work together. It has to be exploitive. It has to be either I'm the man or you the underman. Well, I don't think we truly understand how powerful proverbs are. Like in the Bible, right? And I'm not gonna go there, but in the Bible, they have a whole chapter dedicated to proverbs, right? Because proverbs are designed to make you think outside the box. Proverbs are designed to push you forward in your thinking. They're also tied to culture. So when I say things like "de mon get lot mon," somebody outside of Haiti or not of Haitian culture not gonna understand that proverb. When I say "behind every mountain is another mountain," they're like, I don't get it, right? Because proverbs are cultural. They share a world view. They're very, very important. One of Europeans' most powerful proverbs is "keep your friends close, but your enemies closer." And we don't see ourselves as their enemies. We think they're the friends, but we the enemies. That's why they always rocking and dancing and in our mix and see what's going on and in our churches and what. We don't understand proverbs. We don't understand keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Don't let your enemies get away from where you can't see them. Don't let them speak a language that you can't speak, that you don't know how to speak. We need white missionaries to go into Haiti and speak Creole and speak French and dance with them. That is a part of their culture because that is a part of controlling not only the people, but the narrative. Until we understand proverbs and really, like they got a proverb in European culture, a sucker is born every day. That comes right out of it. We Google these things. But we don't understand culture. We don't understand proverbs. We don't understand
Mensam
how they attach to the
Shaibalu.
worldview. I'm sorry?
Mensam Shaibalu. That is one of ours.
Which
Hands,
is,
hand, basically, hands together makes the load lighter.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
let's get to Haiti, my brother.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Haiti future dependent solely on America's decline? Do
No.
America have to decline for Haiti to get an internal transformation? And why is that?
So again, that depends on what your transformation is. If the transformation is stability and becoming an agricultural nation or becoming a techno savvy nation, it depends on what your definition is or what our definition is. I don't think Haitians have ever sat down and said, this is what we see for Haiti. This is what we want for Haiti. There's never been a Haitian Congress to say, this is where we want to be in the next 15, 20 years. Do you know these white people, they sit around all day. They don't gentrify your community. They don't gentrify your community overnight. This is 10, 20 years. Brooklyn, Houston, Miami. They've been sitting around talking about this. Why aren't Haitians sitting around and saying, this is what we see for Haiti in the next 15, 20 years? Not just going to Compa and all all this is what we say. Where is the Haitian Congress? Where is the young people to sit and organize and say, this is how we're going, this is what we see, this is what we want for Haiti. So no, our growth is not solely dependent on the United States falling. It also is dependent on us realizing that we have the power to do what we need to do. But the problem is when you keep a people in that state of survival, it's hard for them to think about tomorrow. When your stomach is growling, it's hard. Like I could say I have a luxury of being here in the United States. I could sit around and read all day. I could sit around, do whatever, get food stamps, go find a job. Hey, But when you worrying about where your next meal coming from, whether your village or your community is going to be attacked by some Bundys, it's hard to plan for the next 10 days, let alone the next 10 years. So what I'm saying is that our survival is dependent on many things, not just one thing, on many things. And one of those things is Haitians outside the diaspora creating up a real plan for Haiti, a sustainable plan for Haiti. Because what we have now is a lot of people doing good work in Haiti. I'm not denying the good work, but that's only certain pockets. That's only certain things. We need to grasp hold of Haiti and the people outside of Haiti. I've seen people go to Haiti. It breaks my heart. I don't even want to get on that. I just want to answer the question and then go to the next thing, because I could go on and on and on and on.
Shy. You can share.
Now it really comes down to us defining what we see our future as and then executing on what we see our future as. And it's that simple. What we now have now is a whole bunch of splinter groups of people sending money through Western Union. Do you know how much? I looked up how much just in Haiti alone, how much Western Union and all these comms they make off of Haitians sending money to Haiti? 90 million. 90 million.
Probably more.
From Canada to Boston to New York to Florida, everybody's sending money back to Haiti. 90 million. What can we do with that 90 million? It's not rocket science. I remember last time we talked, I said, what if Haitians just simply made the flags that we wave around? If we just made the flags that we put in our cars, if we just made the flags that we wave on Haitian Flag Day and not say made in Taiwan, we feeding other people's children, sending their children to college off of our nation's flag. It's just that simple thing.
We don't make anything. That's very true. I agree with that. I agree.
Salsa, just making our own flags can change our trajectory as a nation. It's not hard. But what is hard is getting over the self-hatred that we have for one another, the distrust that we have for one another, what my elders will call the Willie Lynch syndrome. The idea that, man, the self-hatred we have. Let me just say that.
Sure.
And it takes a lot of internal work. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I deal with it every day. Every day I'm fighting this white man out my brain, because every day I turn on the TV, he there. Every time I'm reading the book, he there. I'm reading the magazine, he there. Every day you turn around, this white man is slipping something in your mind that you got to fight off.
Do you think, my brother,
yes,
that we can continue in this world that we are just a passenger of to change our environment while also creating division within it? Do you think that the spirit of division that you're expressing, let's just say, I know what you envision. Do you think that realistically that we can create a world where blacks are on one side, whites are on one side? Do you think that is what our forefathers fought for, or they fought for exactly what we have today, where you're able to marry who you want to, you're able to be free, you're able to be a doctor, you're able to, in any society, if we want to remove, you get my drift.
So the question I would have to ask, dear sister, is where are we united at? You show me a place where African people and European people exist without some form of oppression, whether it be South Africa, whether it be Brazil, whether it be the United States, whether it be in the UK, whether it be in Australia. Everywhere we exist with them, we getting our behinds kicked. We getting oppressed. So show me where the unity is at, and then we can start there. Show me where you have black people and Arabs owning businesses together, or let alone black people and white people owning businesses together. See, we can live in this hyperbole way of believing, but the reality is it don't even exist on the ground. So you show me where it exists with this unity and this kumbaya mindset, and then we can start there. I'm not talking about individual being able to marry some European or being able to marry a white man or a white woman. That's individual. I don't operate as an individual. I operate as a collective, as a collective African person, because we have a shared
You do
experience.
have a lot of successful black people, and
No. I don't want to confuse that. I'm not saying there are not successful black people. What I'm saying is, where are they sharing power at? You show me where they're sharing power, where they owning Fortune 5 companies together. Not a black person working for a white company. I'm saying where they're sharing companies. Where's the Arab store and the black person that own? Now I see a lot of black people in front of the Arab store, but I ain't seen them owning it together. Like, show me where this utopia of race relations don't exist at. And then if God didn't want us to be separate, why did he make everybody one color? Like, why make it, if you know people's gonna fall into ignorance and debauchery anyway, why make it that way? Just make everybody one color. But the point I'm trying to say is, show me where it exists at.
now I
On
know
a national level.
Have you ever heard that some of us are darker than the other because of where we were on Earth, where our position, being
So
closer to the sun, and some being further away from the sun, where it was colder?
yes, I'm very familiar with that, with the whole out of Africa theory and how Europeans came from Africans and they migrated up into
Mhm.
Eurasia and et cetera and things like that. But there's key factors that's always missed out. The fact that Europeans actually bred with Neanderthals, and that they have animal DNA, and that the only pure humans, and when I say pure humans, I'm not being offensive, I'm saying pure humans as scientists say it, the only pure
Mhm.
humans on the planet are African people. This is why we have the hair texture that we have. We are the only people on the planet who have woolly hair, who have hair like sheep. Everyone else, no matter how dark of a Native American you are, a dark Indian, East Indian, whatever, your hair is straight. And that is not by coincidence. That is genetically passed down. So, you know, people who migrated outside of Africa are no longer African. Okay, they adopted new ways, new cultures, new way of being, and etc.
Mhm.
And that's that.
Let's go into the audience. The Star Child says people understand. Hold on a second. People understand incorrectly. Please share the live, guys, and thank you for tuning in. If it is your first time tuned in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Obed says Jesus never made anybody a slave. He was even a slave for our sins. And that's true. He was a slave himself. Secure says while many religions teach striving toward God through works and devotion, the gospel of Jesus Christ reveals that God's love reaches down to us, offering eternal life as a free gift of grace received by faith, not earned by effort. This is the abundant of steadfast and never ending love of God. And thank you again, Gina Turner, for the $5 super chat. Obed says, do you know that those who enslaved were also slaves to the Roman Empire who persecuted followers of Christ? Mettez pour yo, brother Raphael Gandhi, salut tout moun mwen yo. Obed, thank you again for the $300 super chat. Thank you again. Men and women are not equal but complementary. Black Feather, thank you for tuning in. FBA, thank you so much for tuning in. That's why both make one. Haitians gotta be selfish for Haitian. Stop looking to Africa for answers. Haitians gotta be selfish and do business on favor for its interests. Great show. This man speaks a lot of truth. Ace Favor, thank you for tuning in. He is speaking all truths. Naman says the Haitian Congress is dormant. Ander Neglakai, no Haiti future is dependent on us deciding to do together and start a plan for the next generation. Gangs and corruption, child trafficking. We was never nation that was planning for more than 4 years of political. That is why even our government can't even do 2 terms back to back. I understand what you said, Queen, but we was not created to be dominated by right people, but we should be able to lead without issues. No, I completely agree with we should be able to lead our country without an issue. And I'm sure that many of us, and I ask myself the same question, why is it that many Black nations all over the world struggle? And when you try to have this conversation with people, most will tell you it's an economic thing. But it's difficult to say it's an economic thing when, let's say, Africa should be one of the richest nations because of all of its resources. But people don't want to accept reality that Africa.
So the number one resource, the only resource that matters in this world is mental resource. That is the only resource. This is why you have Africans sitting on all the gold and all the oil and don't know what to do with it. This is why you have all the minerals in Haiti's mountains and things like that and not know what to do with it. The only resource that is important that we need to get hold of is our mental resources, our mental faculties. We can have all the gold in the world, still be coo, 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 and the white man could come in and swoop, take it from under our feet. Why? Because this resource has not been worked on. This resource has not been properly programmed. Okay? Because again, at one point in time, salt was more than gold during the Ghana Empire or Ashanti Empire, right? So salt was more important than gold at one point in time. Like Africans really just took gold and was like, man, this is nothing to us because we got so much gold. But it's difficult to draw out salt. And so resources go up depending on, at one point, oil was nothing. But when they started making cars, oil became important. So we have to understand that resources is only most important by what we need. But the most important is this. This is the resource. And a lot of us, my dear sister, cannot seem to wrap our mind around that religion has this resource locked. I don't want to hear about golden gates and angel wings if we suffering here on this planet right now in this time, and I can't do for my children, and we can't seem to get it right. Why do I care about where I'm going after this if I'm going to suffer through the rest of my life and bear through that? I don't think God gave us this resource to let it go mushy and not be used properly for us to enjoy this life. You know what a white man told me one time? That's what a white man told me. And I swear this is what a white man told me. And I was so offended. He said, a white man's heaven will always be a black man's hell.
So I'm not, I just want to ask, do we transcend that Christians can't govern? Is that what I'm gathering? Or is it because Haitians, we adapted a Christian way of living that make, you create that opinion? Because many Christians they would like to see, they create beautiful things. They've created good things in this world.
You're asking me that?
Yeah.
You're asking me, can Christians lead?
Even Haitians who are Christians, I believe that if we have someone with the right heart, they can lead Haiti out of what Haiti is in as of today.
We're not dealing with heart. We're not dealing with emotions. We're not dealing with for me, racism is not whether. Let me be clear on this. I have a lot of white people who I work with, who I see every day, who might do nice things for me in real life. But guess what? I am never fooled that the fact that we are at war. And not at one time in my life am I ever going to let my guard down or play up under these people where they're going to take my head off, or they're going to get me fired, or they're going to do something ridiculous. I understand every day as a black man, this creator, this God, Yahshua, whatever you want to call him, created me as a black man. Everything in nature has an enemy. The gazelles watching out for the lions, the alligators trying to eat the deer, spiders trying to get the fly. Everything has an enemy in nature that is trying to attack it, except black people. Black people, the only people that ain't got no enemies, unless it's another black person. But everything in nature has a destructive force that attacks it, that goes at it. And the only people who ain't got that is black people. Apparently, everybody likes us, but somehow we at the bottom. That don't make no sense to me. That goes against the defining odds of nature. If everything has an enemy, who's our enemy? Where's our enemy?
Today, if you ask me in Haiti, who's our enemy? Where's our enemy? We are our own worst enemy. Because you mentioned something earlier. Those two babies that you have in your home, it's your job to protect them. And will you open the door for someone to come in and oppress them? Why is that so difficult for us to do? Why we can't accept responsibility that regardless of who we're dealing with, we have a responsibility to put a boundary as to what someone can and can't do within our home.
So
can we put
I would
the
answer that.
blame too on ourselves?
I would answer that in many different ways, but I'm going to answer it in this way. So as far as esteem, right? Esteem shows up in two different forms. So you have self-esteem, which is how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your core, about your being. And then you have racial self-esteem, right? Which means how you feel about other black people. A lot of us may have some self-esteem in us. Some of us don't. But when it comes to racial self-esteem, we have a very low amount of racial self-esteem. This is why Carter G. Woodson made Black history a thing, where he was like, we need to build our racial self-esteem. A lot of us don't have that. A lot of us will throw a lot of us to the wolves for white acceptance, for white approval, for white hand claps. See, he's not like those other Negroes. See, he's different. See, we would throw each other under the bus. So when you're talking about violence in Haiti, you're talking about a symptom. When you talk about broken families, you're talking about a symptom. When you talk about black on black violence or whatever drug use is, you're talking about a symptom. The core problem is white supremacy, is the idea that white people have to stay in power. And how do they stay in power? by creating black on black violence, by dropping guns in Haiti, by doing these things, by having us have a low racial self-esteem, by having us have a low self-esteem about ourselves. This is how people end up on drugs. People always say, man, I was just so down, I was just so hurt, and then I got into alcoholism, then I got into shooting drugs. When you have a high self-esteem, you're like, man, I'll never do that to myself. I'll never put no heroin in my vein and shoot up and be a junkie on the street. What? Until we raise that level of understanding. But that also comes from knowing who you are, knowing your culture, knowing where you're at. One of the ways that they test if someone has a sound mind, right? Like say you might get knocked out, boom, something hits you in your head, right? The first thing they ask you is, what's your name? What year is it? What day is it? Who's the president? They ask you these questions because they want to see how keen do you have a reality of where you are in what time and what space that you are in, right? If I ask the average black person, do you think you at war? Nah, I ain't at war. I do what I want to do. I travel. I do this. Can't nobody tell me what to do. That means you don't have a keen sense of what's going on right now. Because as a black person, if you're not saying every day we at war through education, entertainment, economics, politics, religion, sex, well, all those things are forms of warfare. If you don't see that as warfare, then that means you don't have a real sense of where you are right now. You just as crazy as the person that got knocked out in the head and who's on the floor trying to figure out where they at. And that's the reality. Until we gain a sense of where we are, what we're dealing with, and what we're up against, you are crazy. And I don't mean it to be offensive. I'm just being honest. We are crazy. That's why you can't tell nobody. You bleaching your skin, you look ridiculous. You wearing this blonde wig, you look ridiculous. You walking around here, you look crazy. They'll tell you, oh, you just hate it. No, you look crazy. And if you believe in God, you actually lying to yourself and everybody else, because you're not even being real with yourself. That's the core of not even lying. Being real to yourself first.
I like when you say that, because we have a creator. We did not just make it here on our own. So I don't think someone is crazy because they believe in God, Brother Hassan.
No, I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
Oh,
that's not what I said. No, that's not what I said. I don't want to misinterpret what I said. What I said is, if you are not keen on where you are, what you're dealing with, what you're up against, you're not mentally crazy, like you're wandering around here, crazy, but you don't have a sense of what is going on. That's the part that makes you crazy. And this is why you have adults saying, dang, I don't know how I ended up in this situation. Why did I even do that? Oh man, I regret that. Not saying that you're not going to have mistakes in life, because you are. But when you have a more sense of purpose, of self-esteem, you don't find yourself in those situations. I am in my 40s. I have friends still going back and forth to jail in their 40s. I have friends still on the corner.
Brother Hassan. And
wait. Let me let it play on that way.
Equate that to their own decision making? Is that because of God? Or is it because of voodoo? I'm not even talking about God right now. What I'm talking about is social, political things that's going on right now. I'm not even talking. Well, I don't know. I'm not having a conversation about God right now. But I will say this. Because I don't want nobody to take it out. I'm attacking their religion. Just think. All I'm asking is to think. Just think. Look at our reality. Look at what we're dealing with. Look at Christianity. Look at all these things. Look at how it was introduced to us. Look at what it has done for us and to us. All I'm saying is think. That seems like the hardest thing for Black people to ever do. Read something more than the Bible. You like, we've been taught that anything out that's not of Christ, not of the Bible, it must be the devil. That is, God is not a God of ignorance. If you believe in God, that means you're telling you God wants you to be ignorant. Oh, I can't read that book. That book ain't the Bible. So the only thing you ever going to read is the Bible. You're never going to read something that, if you only sit in an echo chamber and you hear Jesus, then how do you really know what you believe in is really true or really has benefits to you? Because you're in an echo chamber. All you're hearing is Jesus. Step outside the box. What choice do you really have? Where'd you go, sister? I don't know. Where'd you go? I'm right here.
I want to ask you this question. And then I'm sorry, it's 8 o'clock. I did promise my daughters we were gonna watch a movie, and I have to get them showered up, ready to go to bed. But I do want to ask this question: What good is a choice if you don't have a choice? What good is having a choice or freedom of liberty if you really don't have a choice? Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. This nation is a Christian nation. When I was born, did I have a real choice in being a Christian? If all I knew was Christianity, is that a real choice? How is that really a choice if all I knew was Christianity? My mother was born into it. Her mother was born into it. The nation is a Christian nation. What choice do you really have? So we say this idea like we had a choice, like we chose Christianity. No, you didn't. It was chosen for you. The same way your name was chosen for you. The same way my skin color was chosen for me. All these things already came. When the Bible says that you are born into sin, simply what I translate it means is you're born into situations that you had that were before you, that you had no control over. That your mother was on crack. You born into sin. You ain't even have nothing to do with that. You ain't tell her to go smoke the pipe, but she did it. So now you born into a situation. When I say, what good is a choice if you already born into some situation? What choice do you have? It's not like Buddhism was a choice that you could pick from. It's not like you had another religion. This is what you got. So we don't have no choice. We act like we have a choice, but we don't. You don't.
Let me ask you, I have two more questions. I'll let you go. But what would Haiti need in place today to actually take advantage of this global power shift that's happening?
Ooh. So Africans, and when I say Africans, I mean Haitians as well, because you cannot be Haitian without being African. Let me just say that. But Africans do not have any friends. We only have benefactors and alliances. I believe that it is time for Haiti to stop bending over and kissing America's behind and start looking at other nations to have alliances with. We are still boiled down in this Monroe doctrine. Look that up if for somebody who don't know what that is. This Monroe doctrine that says the United States is the father of the Western Hemisphere. The reason why Cuba was able to create their revolution and be self-sustaining is because they did business with Russia. Now, when Russia fell, obviously Cuba took a decline as well. But the point I'm making is that Haiti needs to create new alliances, specifically with people who may not like the United States like that. I mean, we're talking chess here. We're not talking checkers. We're talking about warfare. We're talking about the next 100 years. We're not talking about tomorrow. So Haiti needs to start aligning itself, not adopting, but aligning itself with other people who have different views than the United States. And guess what? You know what they're gonna do? The Nation of Islam. You know what Farrakhan did? He went to Muammar Gaddafi. He went to go visit Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi didn't like the United States. And you know what Farrakhan got for visiting him? $5 million to keep the economy of the Nation of Islam going, because they were going through a situation at that time. And he gave him $5 million. Haiti needs to stop. There's other countries out here. Let me just say that.
True.
And the next question, ma'am. The next question that you had.
Someone asked, does he have social media for people who are tuned in that would like to continue to follow you? Let them know where they could find you.
So it's going to be Brotha Hassan, but it's going to be Brotha, like brother, and then Hassan, Hassan, and that's my name, Brotha Hassan.
What role does the diaspora play in the change of Haiti and this timeline we're speaking about for Haiti?
The diaspora plays the biggest role in changing the landscape of Haiti, right? Economically, You know, they can change that role educationally. They could change that role. Like, how many of us have the education that we can take back into? I ain't talking about this fluff down education, right? It makes no sense that Haiti has all these nurses outside of Haiti. In Canada, you go, the nurses. New York, they nurses. Miami, they're nurses. But somehow we got the worst healthcare system in the Western Hemisphere. That makes no sense. When everywhere you go, there's Haitian nurses, Haitian doctors. It makes no sense. It makes no sense even in Nigeria. Why Nigeria got all these doctors and then Nigeria got poor healthcare. But the diaspora plays the biggest role because they have ventured out to get more resources. And those resources are this. We have to come in with new solutions. You know what I'm saying? Just giving to Haiti, money to Haiti is not going to fix it. But if we come in with new resources, new ways of thinking and operating, then we can lift Haiti up to what we see Haiti to be. Don't mean it has to be skyscrapers and Mercedes-Benz. Last time I went to Haiti, I seen a G-Wagon truck. And I was like, why do you need a G-Wagon truck in Haiti? That's a $90 million car. What do you need in Haiti doing that? But I get it, people, the materialism. But the point I'm making is rebuilding Haiti is not mimicking the United States, Canada, or Jamaica, or any other country. It's what we want it to see. What we want it to be, excuse me.
After this one, I'll let you go. Could he please explain how Christian culture built the United States, but Christian belief in Haiti blocks advancements? I see Christians in Haiti do great work. Thank you, David, for the question.
Okay. So how Christian, so what's happening with that is that when Christians came, they truly, and I'm talking about white Christians, they truly adopted the mindset of the Christian belief, right? Which you can go all the way back to, the story of Noah and him saying that your children is going to be, slaves for 400 years. Like, Europeans took that and said, these children of Ham deserve to be our slaves, right? So they utilized that biblical text to say they deserve to be our slaves. They deserve to be under us, right? Christians haven't adopted that in Haiti. Haitian Christians haven't adopted that. What's happening in Haiti is they're trying to be African and be Christian at the same time. And that does not work for us, this split duality, right? And the European Asili, which the Asili is their root, their cultural root, is attached to Christianity. How they operate on the day-to-day is attached to Christianity. So for them, exploitation goes hand in hand. So yeah, I bring you here to this country. You're going to work for me. You're going to build this nation up, and I'm not going to pay you nothing because the Bible says that. But Haitians are not practicing that. Actually, in Haitian culture, I don't know if they still practice today, they have what is called razarak. Like, no, what is razarak? Where you like adopt someone's child, where you adopt their child and
the rest of it, that what you call it?
What is it?
The rest of it, like that they have, where they get a child in the countryside. Rest of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now we know that's got kind of got diluted or whatever throughout the years, but that was a way of adopting, another child, because we believe in no child should be without a father, no child should be without a family, and et cetera, et cetera. So simply to answer the question, how Christianity differs in Haiti versus how it was formed in the United States was exploitation and the asili of it, how it grown out of. And that's what it's always been. Haitians, we have this thing where we're trying to practice something European but still be African at the same time. And it's not working for us.
I want to thank you, Brother Hassan. We have to do this again soon. I did have a lot more questions for you, but didn't get to them. You're welcome here anytime. You guys, Brother Hassan, you could find him a lot easier on Instagram. He's way more active there. I'm not sure why he has not came over to YouTube, but check him out on Instagram. Do you have TikTok now? No?
Yeah, I got TikTok. I got all those things. I'm even on YouTube, but I don't post like that. It's kind of hard for me to be consistent with being a father and try to do other things behind the scenes and still work a job, you
Mm.
know. So it's tough to content create as much as I want to. And then I have a regimen of reading, so I like to continuously read. So, um, but I am on social media. I am on I'm on YouTube. I'm on all the things, so you can go search those things out. Um,
Mhm.
but I will say this. Let me end and say this. And I was just having a conversation with my daughter about this on the ride home. I was talking to her. I was telling her, Uruguay's and European culture is crazy by nature. It's crazy. You can't tell me that we have a society that parents, two-parent households can't even survive, and they have to work 80 hours a week. That means 120 hours that a child is going to be alone by themselves to fall into anything that mischievous, right? This culture is not family centered. It's not built on family. It's built on oppression. It's built on division. It's built on all the things that are innately European. Okay, it's built on patriarchy, chauvinism, all those things, right? And so we have to come to realize that, because a lot of us think that if we shape shift or push the society this way or do this and do that, that somehow we can make the society work for us. And it is not working for us. It is only diving us deeper into their to their insanity.
Hmm. I thank you, my brother, for coming on, and I look forward to us meeting again soon. You be blessed and continue to be a wonderful father.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Peace.
I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Um, tonight's show is a great show, but there's a lot of questions I didn't get to ask our guests. Thank you all for tuning in. Let me see, Brandy, thank you for tuning in. I agree with mental resource, but in my opinion, the mental mind, we all have a different opinion. And at the end, I don't I don't care what your religion is. You have a choice. And in Haiti, we know there are some factors surrounding Haiti, but we are stuck where we are at because we are allowing ourselves to be stuck there as well. I will not blame religion. I will not blame anything else but us. Because at some point, we have to come to terms with absolutely no one can come in my house, create their own rules, unless we open the door and allow them in. Myself, I continue to hold hopes that things will change in Haiti. Haiti will rise. And education is one of the most important systems that we must attack. A lot of the older people living in Haiti today, they're already stuck on their way of thinking. But the future of Haiti, we definitely can shape the way they view the world, the way they view their community, and the way they view things. Regardless of what it is, how we think, if it had not been for those great Dessalines that stood up and fought for the liberty in which many of us enjoy today, who knows where I would be? Who knows where you would be? Who knows how our life would be today? Brandy says, Rockwell Universe says, I agree. We have to wake up and be brave Sorry, my comment posted before I completed. I was saying I agree to a certain extent on what he mentioned about starting with the mental. Yes. However, to get to the mental, we need to first address the spiritual thing. Pierre says, "Good evening, Marie. I'm just tuning in, but I have been looking for your videos, and I thank God for your videos. I'm in the process of making a move, and I will be moving back home soon." With all that said, do you gather that? Thank you, Pierre. Get in touch with me. We have to be the one to lead Haiti. Haitian people, we have to accept responsibility for leading our nation. We continue to do that in the best way in which we can. You guys take care of yourself. Let's pray for better news in the upcoming days for Haiti and the people of Haiti. You know, there's been a lot of changes, but you guys know I keep you guys grounded on everyday life. I have some uploads, guys. They are coming. At times, I barely have time lately, but they are coming. I have a wonderful video that you guys really, really enjoy usually when I release them type of uploads. So look forward to those this coming week. Jadus, thank you for tuning in. You guys, if you've yet to hit the like button, don't forget to like, share, and definitely subscribe to this channel. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Love you guys. Until next time.